This is our podcast, which we do every fortnight with a bunch of people that are extremely enthusiastic about cameras and photography. Some who are mediocrely enthusiastic about cameras and photography, and some people that can only identify with the old film days. So I'm joined with a whole crew today of 6 people, and we are in the middle of the bonfire mayhem because it's the 5th of November. So if you hear fireworks going off in the background, you'll know why. Chris Clayton's here with me, Ian Bundy's here, Joe Hickey, Chris Kelly, and Charlie Winston. So good to have you all with me. Hello, everyone. Everyone all together say hello.
Hello.
Hello. And on this occasion, we're going to be talking about workshops, a topic picked by Chris Clayton, and we hope to have some good conversation about workshops in relation to photography. It's show number 10, as I say, and our website is still at tedsalmon.com/camera creations, and you'll find all the stuff that we're talking about today in the show notes, links to all of that, and also the photographs will be in our camera creations Google shared Google photo album, whatever it's called. Again, links to that will be in the show notes. And yeah, MeWe group is where we all natter during the fortnight. So join us there. Links to that as well. And if you get lost, you can go to tedsalmon.com and you'll find it all there. So, what have we got? Let's launch straight in, Mr. Clayton, to your chosen theme, which is workshops. And so we don't run out of time at the end when it gets all exciting and interesting.
Okay. So what the impetus for the whole workshop theme this week was a Reddit post. As I was browsing Reddit, I saw on the photography subreddit some poor chap. He went on a Steve McCurry, who I understand is a celebrity photographer, although I hadn't heard of him. But he does demand, I think it was $6,000 for a 6-day workshop in Tokyo. And that doesn't include any of the getting to Tokyo or the hotel. So this poor bloke spent about $10,000 on a Steve McCurry workshop in Tokyo. I did link this into the MeWe Creations group, but for anyone that didn't, I mean, the gist of it was day one was in a classroom, which automatically, my first day in Tokyo, I wouldn't want to spend in a classroom. And then the rest of the time, he was just kind of left to his own devices. And then there was like a conflab at the end. I think he said there was about 14 or 15 people, each paying their $6,000 for 6 days of just being left alone in Tokyo. So this is, and these posts come up quite often on the photography subreddit, and they're always this kind of thing where you spend loads of money and you just get sort of scammed basically by some big name photographer. So I did post about this, and it just confirmed my own biases. I'm kind of cynical about these workshops, but not to the point where I would dismiss them completely. I mean, I want to get better and learn. I just don't see how these are value for money and what these people could really teach you that you couldn't learn just by looking at a few YouTube videos. But that's my quick take on it. I'm happy to hear everyone else's opinions.
Just quickly, I just Googled Steve Curry, right? And the first person that comes up is an Australian comedian and actor. Maybe it is a scam.
It's not really a photographer.
and the other one is a basketballer. I'm sure it wasn't him, though.
Did you put Steve McCurry? It's MC Curry, not Steve
that's
Curry.
why, McCurry.
Yeah.
He's part of the McDonald's group. Okay.
That's
But
right,
just to be clear, Steve McCurry, was he the photographer that did that Afghan girl photograph?
Yes, I can see it.
Yeah, because in the Reddit thread there was quite a lot of comments about it's not the first time he's done some kind of scammy behaviour, and that was referenced.
Yeah, he's 75 years old.
Yeah, so the Afghan girl photo was apparently there was some ethically questionable actions that led to that photograph. So.
But I think it proves that photographers have got more money than sense, especially when it comes to buying kit and spending money on workshops. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it was just like the money. Obviously, is going to stand out to spend so much money So at first I thought, oh, we spent £6,000. At least he got 6 days in Tokyo. But no, that was just for the workshop. And then he's
Wow.
got all the flights and the hotel on top of that. So,
Wow.
So maybe to put that into context, I did a similar workshop, which was in Tokyo, Fuji, and Kyoto. This was run by Brendan Vanson, and that was, I think, about $5,000, but that included all of the travel and the accommodation and breakfast as well. So just to put that. And
how long was that for?
So I think that was about 9 nights. Wow. I think 9 nights. Yeah. Started off in Tokyo, went to Mount Fuji on a bus. I mean, it was quite an adventure and stuff. But again, just putting it in context, that the hotels and the traditional Japanese place we stayed in, Fuji, was all included in that price. So I think
that seems cheap.
Maybe shop around. Yeah, I mean, it was good. It was a really good experience, and I think I see workshops as you're paying for a fixer, so someone to take you to somewhere that is at the right time, the right place to take some good photographs. And if you see it that way, Brendan had no interest in making me a better photographer at all, but he took me some places where I could take some nice photos.
Is that a photography workshop or just like a tour? Yeah.
It was more of a tour, but it was a photography workshop. I mean, I put links to his website, and I've done 3 of his now. So it's mainly to interact with other photographers. I think it's a great way of learning from each other and seeing how different people take photos. So having, again, like-minded people together. I think there were, in the trip that I did, I think it was about 8 or 9 of us who travelled around together. So it was quite a nice social thing as well.
Oh, it's quite a small group then. So is that typical of these workshops, that they keep the numbers quite low?
I think it depends on what you do. I mean, I've done more workshops than you can probably shake a stick at, to be brutally honest, but they range from simple photo walks to things like going to Japan or Antarctica. So somewhere in between. Some of them you can go to that, again, you could have. I went to one up north to photograph a Vulcan bomber. And there was probably about 60, 70 people there, and it was horrible. But again, it's one of those things. The more prep work you do and trying to understand how many people are going, then you can get an idea of how good it will be.
Beginning to sound like it's a bit of a con all round. Has anyone got anything positive to say about it?
Well, I was going to say,
I thought it was massively positive. I mean, it's again. If it's taking you to somewhere to take some photographs, or it's
but you could go there yourself, couldn't you?
Yeah, maybe I'm lazy. I don't know.
I think there's definitely value in being sort of given the locations that you might not find on your own, but are they actually helping you with your photography? Because that's what they're marketing these workshops as. But they're just tour guides from your experiences, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it depends on the person. When I went to Antarctica, there was one boat, 100 photographers, and 10 professionals, which was quite nice because you got to cycle through the different types of photographers, and they were everything from people that took pictures of trees to landscapes to portrait photographers. It was quite an interesting, and you got some critique in the evening and things like that. But again, it's maybe a bit of a lottery, depending on if you go in with, I'm going to go somewhere that is going to be quite photogenic and take some pictures of something that's going to be cool. And if I get that, that's the minimum viable thing I'll get out of it. If I get some learnings out of it as well, then maybe that's cool as well. I don't know.
I guess
Joe?
it's expectations going into these workshops. I mean, I personally wouldn't invest in them, but it's partly because of the level I'm at, and I don't aspire to be much of a higher level either. So yeah, I think if you go in with the right expectations, and like you say, you know where you're going, how many people go in, what you're going to get for your money, I guess it makes sense. But
But presumably they don't all involve expensive, exotic locations. You must be able to go on a cheaper, more local one, can't you?
yeah, I'd say like joining a local photography group would be more beneficial for people, and then they probably do workshops within them groups. I assume. I don't know. I've never joined one.
Yeah,
There was
I
one
belong
many
to
years ago.
a local camera club that they do days out, and the Royal Photographic Society, they do things like an evening in London or something like that, which may cost you 50 quid or something, and
Right.
So you have ones that are a few hours locally compared to really exotic stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think they're probably more beneficial. I mean, for someone like me at my level, I'd say I'd rather meet up with some friends and fail and learn with them. I think.
I agree.
Mr.
I
Kelly?
was
There
going to
was
say,
one many
is it more
years ago that I very nearly went on. If you know Jared Poland, the Chronos Photo YouTube guy, he actually came to Manchester. So because he was in my hometown, I very nearly went and joined it, but then I can't remember the price. But yeah, he wanted stupid money to go and walk round with him. So I never actually found out whether it would have been value for money, but that was just a photo walk with him, allegedly giving bits of advice.
Do you get people on the tour, on the workshop, hogging the attention of the leader, someone that's very, very assertive and selfish, and just trying to get all the time they can with the person?
From the ones that I've been, you always get, it's the nature of life, isn't it? You always get that person. But a recent one I went on, there's a guy locally in Suffolk called Justin Mims, and he's a really good guy. Does some really interesting workshops. We went it was probably 4 hours or something like that. But you do get some very talented people that are maybe semi-professional going on it just to get to that location. But you do also get the ones that are just around wanting to get all of that tuition or be with that popular YouTuber and stuff like that. But for me, it's more about the location. But again, you could be in that position.
Mm-hmm.
Ian, I was going to say, because obviously you've been on quite a few workshops, is it more a case of networking, trying to gain access to other people so you can kind of understand the business side of photography more, as opposed to learning the techniques? Because a lot of these techniques in photography, obviously, they could be learned on YouTube. I was wondering if it's more a case of access and networking.
For me personally, no. I know a lot of, especially a lot of the people that went on the Antarctica one were semi-professional people and wanting to make those kind of connections. But for me, I wasn't sort of particularly interested. For me, it was taking pictures of something different. So I think I mentioned, I don't know if it was on the last pod or the previous one, about going to Tank Space, this big water tank, and you had models in the tank. Something like that is something you would never think about shooting. Or I went to shoot puffins as well for a day as well, which was again something that I wouldn't normally shoot, and also with people that were sort of nature photographers, and I didn't have a Scooby, so it was quite nice being the one who doesn't know anything about it and normally taking pictures of cars, and now I'm trying to get a puffin to stay still while I can shoot it and stuff like that.
So when you go on the workshop, do they give you like like a reference photo of the photographer that's leading it for you to follow to take the composition, or do you just go in there with an open mind and take your own photos? Because when I go out and shoot, I always have like a reference photo of like the kind of style I'm looking for, if it's a particular location.
Yeah, yeah, I think it depends. It depends on what you're shooting. I mean, if you're going to London and you're going in the South Bank or something like that, I think you've got a fair idea of some of the shots you've done in London, the ones of St Paul's. I think, again, I'm going to London to get that kind of shot sort of thing. And I've done that on some of the... I did a couple of photo walks in London, and you know the shots that you're going to aim to get. It's just getting them. So, yeah, maybe. But then other ones where... Again, it could be a portrait session or something like that. Is that I'm following other people because it's studio lighting and I haven't got a clue about that. So I'm sort of tagging on with the more prominent photographers who are doing it to maybe build out their portfolios. So I'm sort of playing the dumb one to follow on and copying their shots.
I don't know if it counts as a workshop, but on your visits to these workshops, have you ever seen something where it's like staged? I think Chris C, he sent me a video in the past somewhere in Asia where they have like these photo shoots with many, many photographers shooting like rice farmers and paddy fields, and they time it so they always take the photo and it looks authentic, when really it's just like a big staged playground for photographers. Is it like that on workshops where they kind of construct the environment for you to shoot, so it's like a fake photo shoot, so to speak? If that makes sense.
I think I've seen those, and I've seen some of the workshops. I know people have been on those kind of workshops. I've done some stuff when I first started photography, which was with going up to past Newark Way to shoot the Lancaster bomber, and they had reenactors and things like that in there, which was interesting. So they were sort of staged shots, and but I've seen those ones where, again, the paddy field, and you've got the guy there in the perfect light, and it's I think but again, you know what you're going to get. that's the target, and it's set up for you basically. But
I mean, it looks great. No one else would know, so it's only the photographers there that will obviously know about it if it's staged.
I was say I don't have an issue with that, but like, do you guys? Would you have an issue with that? It all being staged, or?
It's jarring. Like I can't find it now, but I will try and get it up and put it in the group. It is hilarious because there is this classic shot of a rice farmer. I think it's in Thailand. And he's like got the sun bathing down on him, and he's lifting up the rice buckets, and all the water's draining off. And then the camera pans, and there's about 80 photographers with their white lenses, and they're showing the before photo where it's all this kind of real life dynamic scene, and then you can see how it's obviously set up, and all he does all day is just doing that same action over and over again for all the tourists. So I don't know if I have a problem with it, but. It's sold one way, and it's not.
See, one thing I enjoy about photography, mate, is like finding the compositions myself. So I prefer, and that's another reason why I prefer to go out with just friends. Some people don't even have that much knowledge of the location, and we just find compositions ourselves.
But then you have to take hundreds or thousands of photos just to get those 5 or 10 compositions that are really good.
That's the joy of it, isn't it? I don't know. I mean,
no.
I don't know. I'd happily pay someone, to give me the results just there.
Yeah. Well, there's value in workshops there, isn't there? Then I guess.
Yeah, that's back to the fixer thing. But there are apps like Photo Scout where you can look for a location, and you can see where photographers have taken that shot and what time of day it is. Those are quite useful if you're going somewhere and seeing if there are any sort of photo spots. So maybe that's a bit of a halfway house sort of thing.
I mean, I do that all the time. I'll see a photo and I will go out with the express idea of just copying it completely. But in the process of doing that, you find your own photos. In the process of editing it, you find your own edits as well. So a lot of my best photos started out as trying to copy someone else's, but they end up, quite unique. So I think there's value to it, but if you're paying all this money just for someone to go, here it is, press the shutter button, then I don't know, it doesn't seem like good value to me.
As we've all just said, there's all loads of alternative things, tools and things available that can help you though. So yeah.
To be honest, the funniest thing I ever saw was I went to the Lofoten Islands, and again, it's a photographer's or workshop paradise, you call it, and there was a group of photographers, and there's this rock which is called the Dragon Eye, which is basically a rock in the middle of a pool of water that looks like a dragon's eye, and people shooting it, and then the professional photographer had the filter over this, and they were just queuing up to take the shot through the filter of that one shot, and it was like a queue of people, and it was like, now that's definitely not photography. But yeah, it was completely staged, and he had the queue of people just get your shot. He had it all set up, and they were just walking along and pressing the button basically.
Conveyor belt.
Yeah.
So why do people want to go and do that, knowing that their photograph is going to be pretty much the same as the next person's, which will be online and downloadable at any minute? Don't they realise that that's what's going on?
I'd want to get shots of the people queuing.
So that was the interesting ones, and you see all these people. I think back to the storytelling thing. It's not that shot. It's the background shot of behind the paddy field of all that
You're
queue
telling
of
a story.
photographers taking it. That's I guess the interesting one.
Right. Okay.
BTS.
So
Behind the scenes.
the other thing is that so far everyone's been talking about location and going somewhere, whereas, you know, the word workshop in my frame of reference, and I suspect probably Chris Kelly's too, is that you go to a conference centre and you sit and you get shown and taught things, and there's someone with a brain up the front leading you through. To me, that's what a workshop is. But
more like a classroom, isn't it?
yeah, more like a classroom or a presentation or a big a conference centre. You go and learn stuff and that to me is what a workshop is. But I guess the workshop here is about going somewhere where you can also practice.
I agree.
Go
on.
I was going to say, I've never done, in inverted commas, a workshop. I did go and study a City and Guilds in photography, so it was a year-long standard course going to a college.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of got a fair bit of the technical understanding from years of reading the techniques pages of photo magazines before I went there, which proved particularly useful because the guy who was the tutor was, shall we say, less than stellar. His teaching style was, he got these sort of pre-prepared handouts, and all I did was stand at the front, read the handouts, and then hand out the handouts. And looking around the classroom, I could see all these blank faces of my fellow students who clearly they were new to this, looking to be taught, and they just didn't understand what he'd given them. So I found myself most lessons, I was the one actually doing the teaching, explaining and showing them how it applied practically to the cameras that they had in their hands. What I did find particularly useful from doing the course, though, was getting into the discipline of going out and shooting to a brief. So, we'd be set a brief each week to go out and shoot a certain style or a certain number of photographs to come back and get them critiqued by the tutor and your peers. And part of the course was study of the history of photography and certain famous photographers. So a bit, Chris, like you said, I would actually use the work of the greats as a reference point that was my starting point to go out to meet the brief each week. And having that set for me, I found particularly useful. I think I mentioned in previous weeks, my weakness is I don't think I'm particularly creative. So by going out and doing my best to emulate at least a style, if not a specific photograph, did help me a great deal. The bit where the tutor was useful was in the darkroom, because I'd never done any darkroom work before, so that was great, learning how to develop and print. But at the end of it, I'm really pleased to say that not only did I pass both elements, the essays as well as a portfolio, I actually gained a double distinction at the end of it. But it was largely plagiarism, I have to admit. So, and it's been downhill ever since, fellas.
So a very different kind of view of what a workshop means to what Chris and Ian are talking about, and Charlie. I guess when you suggested this topic, Chris Clayton, you were thinking purely in the ways in which Ian and Charlie are talking, were you?
No, I agree with you, Ted. I think when you go on a workshop, they should teach you, methods and techniques that could improve your photography, but all they seem to be are glorified tour guides.
Right. Okay.
So my cynicism of these workshops is that they're just sort of preying on, people that look up to these big name celebrities, and then, if this guy's got 15 people each paying $6,000, and then he doesn't even sort of communicate with them until day 6, then I don't know, it just seems fraudulent to me. But I would want some kind of help. I would want, this is the best way to approach this shot, or, this composition might work better, or this, and also editing, which is such a big part of it. This is what you would do to process this image to get this look, and here's some techniques. But none of that seems to be apparent in any of these workshops.
But if you were if you were in a classroom, that might be difficult if you were not on location.
No, you need to. I think being on location for the photography side of it, but I think if you're paying that much money, you should have a butler with you. Who's like giving you lenses. And then especially the post-processing, which is such a massive part of images now, I think, and that's where most of these photographers will get their style and their look, is through the edit. That never seems to be looked at.
Some people might be going to these workshops for inspiration, I guess, rather than learning, which they might get in some aspects. I don't know.
I think with a workshop, you're not really paying for knowledge, are you? You're paying for structure, time, access. It's really a case of opportunity cost, isn't it? If you go to a workshop, say, I don't know, about studio lighting, and it's £1,000, you'd be better off getting a software that teaches you on your computer about studio lighting. There's like one software I think I used once called, it's got an odd name, Set A Light 3D, and it teaches you everything you need to know about angles and positions, doing portraiture with studio lighting, and you can learn everything you need to in 2 or 3 hours versus a week at a seminar. That's obviously a lot more money.
But that's the one kind of area that I think a workshop could be good. It's like the more technical side, like maybe astrophotography or studios photography.
Yeah.
Putting it into action, isn't it? I think for me, I'd be wanting to shoot it and follow somebody else who knows about that. But yeah.
If I'm a very visual guy, I'm a guy that likes to do things. So like learning on a computer, I'm not great at. Whereas going out and doing it, I'll pick it up a lot better that way. So yeah, workshop might work for me, perhaps.
Got a spare £6,000?
If anyone's interested in learning the studio lighting stuff, I've got a couple of lights and some brollies and soft boxes that I'd happily move on.
Okay, thanks, Chris.
Sounds like Chris Clayton starting a workshop if anyone's interested.
Yeah, I won't charge £6,000, but maybe I'll start a bit lower, £20. I'll take you
But
down
I think
Brighton
it
Beach.
depends on what you want, though, doesn't it? I mean, I think if you want the ones I've been looking at, you're going somewhere like the Photo Islands, or you're going to Bolivia, or somewhere that there's one next year, going to Uganda to shoot the gorillas or something like that. That is, you're paying for that tour. You're not paying for a lesson. So I guess I think there's differences. You get a lot of these ones who you can do a Photoshop online course or critiques and stuff like that. But again, I think there's a selection out there. It's just what you want, really.
Yeah, I guess like buying anything, the value is subjective for each person individually.
Yeah.
Sure. Ian,
Because for one person would want to go to, I want to go to Bolivia and do the salt flats and go on like an expedition or something like that for 8 days or something with photographers, or compared to someone else wanting to do something different. So,
Ian, in the recording notes, you've put some recommendations for some workshops and some examples of pictures, which thankfully you've also put into the shared album, so people can look at those and follow along. But do you want to just kind of talk a bit about what you put there?
Yeah, there's a couple of really good guys. Well, 3 good guys. There's a guy called Justin Mims, who's local to me. He's in Ipswich, which is again, he does everything from 1 day to Namibia or somewhere like that. So again, somewhere in between, if you wanted to get those kind of shots. But for me, it was more doing something different. So the examples I had there was one from Tank Space, which was the black and white one, which was again a very completely different thing for me to shoot, and with different type of photographers. So that was quite unique. There was one with the Lancaster bomber and the Mosquito. I thought that was, again, you get a completely different crowd of photographers who are playing crazy and stuff like that, just as we are for landscapes or something, or cars. So that was a really good day, and met some really good people. And it's still on my bucket list to go in the hang out of the plane to shoot air-to-air photography. But that is very expensive. It's thousands per the minute of being up there. But
that's a shoot. The one of the plane and the girl in uniform sat next to it is a super shot, I think. So they were able to set that up for people, I suppose.
Yeah, they had reenactors. They had that with the Vulcan bomber as well, but this one was with the Lancaster and Mosquito, and they had probably about 8 reenactors.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's obviously staged, but it was something completely different to do that I wouldn't have done before. So and met different people from different walks of life that are into plane photography and historic photography. So
I don't know if it says much about me, but there's that massive plane there, but she just draws my eye to see her.
Yeah, I know your sort. Just quickly mention that Chris Kelly's had to dip out. He disappeared. He's gone to some fireworks event, I think. So retrospectively, goodbye to Chris. But the one you talked about, the puffin one before, which is worth noting again, I think, and also the ballerina one. I think those two are really nicely staged. I think in the group you previously had posted some ballerina shots, hadn't you?
Yeah, so the puffin one, there's an island called Skoma in the UK, and it's the biggest colony of puffins, I think, in the world. So I went there for there's one I haven't mentioned, which is Timeline Events, and they do everything from steam trains to nature stuff. And this was a 1-day on a boat over to this Skoma Island, and the puffins are walking next to you. And again, never really shot wildlife, so it was quite interesting to be with, again, different types of photographers, really.
It's a wonderful shot. I love the bouquet balls in the background and the colours and the movement. It's a wonderful shot.
And the ballerina one was one. This was in the in central London. There's a disused building that they use for events behind the Oxo Tower, and there was 3 ballerinas for studio lighting and things like that. So for me, it was I was in London anyway, so I stayed over an extra night and did this workshop, which again, different photographers. The studio lighting and everything was something I'd never done before. So again, it was learning by doing, which I think for me is and getting someone to follow as well, rather than trying to do it on my own. I think is maybe just my style, really. So,
and what was the flavour of that day with the ballerinas, for example? How many people were there, and how many leaders, and what sort of were you encouraged to kind of move the lighting and try and create something you wanted to create, or was it all done for you?
So there were two lady ballerinas and a guy, and again, you got there, they warmed up and everything, so it was quite an interesting thing to learn a bit about what they do, and then it was staging shots, and you had one main guy who was hosting the workshop with studio lighting, and then you had people that knew what they were doing, and they were sort of staging the models to do this and this and this, and could you do it in this window, and I was just following along basically.
Right,
so
okay.
For me, it was a massive learning thing, because I've never done studio lighting before. So for me, it was a unique thing to have a go at, really. So.
And then there's a couple of landscapes. So one in what looks like the North Pole somewhere, and there's another one which is is that in central London? It is, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think Charlie and Crystal know this location. It's the one of getting the Big Ben shot. I thought this one was quite interesting because, again, you've got someone taking a shot rather than the traditional shot. So it's more around the story of the location as opposed to the actual shot itself. So
that woman there was a model, was she?
No. I was just stood behind her with my camera.
Oh, I
There's
see.
normally a queue.
Right.
There's normally a queue to take that photo.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Ian, how long did you take to take that photo? Were you waiting a long time? The one with Big Ben?
No, so I got the shot as well, the Big Ben shot, just as it was getting dark, and that was really, really good. But we were just hanging around there for probably about 45 minutes, just different people taking shots and stuff like that. And again, they're queuing up, they're taking their shot and stuff.
Wow. Okay.
And I just try to take pictures of people taking pictures, which is quite interesting. But
That's a good picture.
I'm a fan of doing that, so yeah, I like it.
Anything more on the recommendations, Ian? Before we jump back to Charlie for some thoughts.
Yeah, I say so. Brendan Vanson is probably worth to have a look at the website and his tours. He's now working with a guy called Greg Snell. He does more expeditions and tours. So again, tour guide to get you from A to B and get these shots. So interesting maybe to look at. Timeline events are UK based, normally 1 day things. Again, something completely different. So
Sure.
yeah.
Okay, good.
That's it from me.
And Charlie, before we move on and away from our theme, and perhaps Chris Clayton, you could round things up afterwards. You've made some notes in the recording notes here, Charlie. Is there anything that hasn't kind of been covered yet that you wanted to highlight?
I think generally with workshops, I think they're a good idea depending on how different people learn. I think with, workshops, people look at it, I can't do a workshop because I'm not creative. But it's not really about being creative, is it? It's more about copying other people. because creativity is just a recombination of everything else that you learn. And I think a good workshop makes the student conscious of that process. And that's how people take better photographs. That's my first observation.
Mm-hmm.
My second observation is that knowledge becomes invisible with experience. So what do I mean by that? Great photographers, often they can't explain why they make certain choices. And this isn't only for photography, it's for any endeavor, really, business or whatever else you're doing. With photographers, they're operating on intuition. And I think that gap between what knowledge you know and what knowledge you don't know is why some people struggle to teach the process of photography. So those are my basic thoughts, really, on how workshops are, really.
Okay, thanks very much. Chris, do you want to round up your theme, or do you think it's all done?
I think we've pretty much covered everything. The only thing I will say is that I'm still kind of negatively disposed towards these workshops, but the one genre that I haven't done and I want to try and do is astrophotography, and I think that is one where a workshop an on-site workshop and a post-processing workshop sort of combined into one. I think that would be a genuine help, because there's so much technicality to astrophotography in terms of the exposures, the exposure stacking, and then how you stack that in the edit. So I think I would, if someone said, 100 quid will take you for a night out for astrophotography and help you with the edit, then yeah, I'll be up for that.
Or someone like you to put that together. So you employ someone for a day of their time and then sell tickets.
Yeah, I mean, you're paying for people's time, aren't you? So yeah. But the prices that some of these guys charge, that Steve McCurry made like 100 grand, in a week and got a free holiday to Tokyo. So
and that didn't include flights either, did it?
Yeah. So well, it included his flight.
Okay,
First class.
Thanks very much for that. Interesting topic, certainly. We must press on because time's running away as usual. Let's stay with you, Chris, and let's have a look at some of the photographs you've been taking in the last couple of weeks.
Oh, okay. So we went to London. Charlie and myself are both there. I spent most of the day on my own on Saturday. The main reason I'm going, I'm quite sad. I kind of went with the express aim of just getting one location with my 9mm lens, which has been surprisingly good so far, and that's Natural History Museum. So I thought, okay, it's Saturday morning, it's going to be busy. I'll get there. They open at 10. I'll get there at 9:15. I'll be first in the door. I wasn't first in the door. I was probably about 300 people away from the front. And then they said, oh, if you've got a ticket, then you get fast-tracked. If you haven't, which I didn't, obviously, you have to go in this separate queue. So my 300 away from the door sort of became a bit longer. But anyway, I did eventually get in about 10:15, and it wasn't too bad. I mean, the crowd thinned out. It's a big place. First time I'd been there. But the main feature of the museum, photographically speaking, is this massive kind of atrium. People say it's got these Harry Potter vibes. And I had seen some wide-angle photos taken in here, so I thought a 9mm is going to be perfect. And so I kind of had a quick look around, and I kind of spotted that there are some stairs, so I went straight to the top and got there before anyone else. Well, most other people. And I was up there for a good sort of half an hour with my 9mm, taking just tons and tons of photos. The highlight of which I've put in the notes here, and I've also put in the shared album. I put the before and the after on the edit, so you can see that this is a very strong kind of HDR edit. It is a genuine HDR photo. It's 3 exposures stacked because of the lighting, the strong lighting coming in through the windows and a lot of shadow. I've just put one of the exposures in as the before photo. But I'm really, really happy with the edit. I'm really happy with the 9mm, how it's holding up, capturing all this detail. I'm just kind of, I did post it onto Reddit and Vero, and it's become my most upvoted post ever on Reddit with 3,000
Cool.
upvotes. Got a lot of positive feedback, a few negative ones, mainly about this HDR edit that I've done to it. Kind of controversial HDR from 2010, but I think it works really well. I'm not sure what everyone else thinks, but I'm super happy with how this 9mm held up for this photo.
Big difference, isn't
there? Yeah.
Yeah. Ian, what do you think to the difference there?
I think it's an epic shot. It's really, really good. For my taste, I would just. I think the HDR thing. You see a lot of those that are so in your face. I would, if it was mine, I would have maybe tuned it down a bit. But the way that again, the composition and everything, and the colours is a beautiful shot.
There was also in the before photo, you'll see that there's quite a few people that have been removed. I described it as a small genocide in the show notes of people removal. That also was kind of controversial. A few people said that, you're taking away the life of the photo, you're making it too sterile, which was exactly my aim, and that's what I wanted to achieve. But I'm not sure what people's thoughts are on sort of removing all the people from a scene, because personally I obviously want to get rid of the clutter, but that's just my OCD.
I think for your
Chris,
edit, it makes sense.
When you went to take the photo, did you have an image in your head of what you wanted it to look like before you took it? Did you have a reference photo?
I had not this angle, but I had seen a similar photo where they got this kind of warm brown tone to it, and that's
right.
What I had in my head. And as I was in Lightroom, I was in the colour mixer, and I kind of taken most of this colour's achieved by taking blue out of the image.
It's a phenomenal photo. I really like it.
Yeah, because it's almost sepia, isn't it?
Yeah,
and you can see the in the before, you can see the very strong evidence of the blue.
Yeah, it's surprising how much of a difference that made, just taking the blue out of the image. It kind of completely flattened the colour, but to its benefit, in my opinion. But
very good.
Yeah, one other image that I want to quickly mention, again with a 9mm, is these escalators at Canary Wharf. I guess the photo is pretty obvious, kind of head-on, capturing the whole scene, but I'm just really happy with the edit again on this. I'm going for like a desaturated kind of contrast, but just keeping the one colour. Again, it's orange. All the lights are orange, and it's got a kind of this sci-fi aesthetic. So I was really happy with the edit on that. But these are the main two photos that I got from the day. But I have added a few others onto the shared group for people to have a look at if they want to.
Great, that's super.
Did you have people in that shot, Chris, or did you remove those?
No, that was empty. Canary Wharf, surprisingly empty. I was there for a good 20 minutes as well in this area.
And were you using a tripod or?
No, all handheld. That's HDR again, 3 shots stacked, because it's the middle of the day and you've got obviously this. If you've ever been to that location, I don't know, but it's basically impossible to capture the full dynamic range in one photo because of the skylight.
How come there's no one there?
I don't know. It was really quiet.
Canary Wharf for the weekend, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. Right. I was surprised.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks very much. So, all those shots will be in the shared album for anyone that's following along. Charlie, last 2 weeks for you, any interesting photos?
So I went to London with Chris. We met up in the latter half of the day. I went to Brick Lane to do some street photography, but I didn't have much success. I went there a bit early, also went to Chinatown, and I just wasn't really feeling it. Didn't really have any good shots. So I waited to the evening and I went to St. Paul's, where I've included a photo. Now I've been there before, but there was no rain. So I really wanted to get light reflections on the pavement. And I was fortunate enough to get that. So I did a bit of editing and I got St. Paul's with a bus going past. And it took me quite a while to get this shot. It took me about 40 minutes. And it was the first photo I've actually taken using a tripod, because usually, obviously, I do a lot of the street work. So I really had to understand the timing. I think I shot it at 3.2 seconds. And I had to wait for a few takes to get the buses to come past. And then what I did was I took it into Lightroom, did a light edit to remove the light pollution in the sky. The sky was quite blue looking, so I removed that, made it more black. Then with St. Paul's, I had to sharpen that, put it into Photoshop, remove the tree and put an AI tree there because I had something what's called haloing. So there was a haloing effect when I was trying to adjust the color tones on the tree.
Wow.
So I couldn't use the original tree. So put an AI tree in, and then I ran a high pass filter over the light box just to make it shiny and a bit more sharp. And then I used a generative AI fill to extend the light trail. And then I just put some masking on the pavement just to enhance the reflections. And then I finished off with a color grade back in Lightroom. So it was an iterative process. It took quite a while to kind of put it all together. And that, I've only got one shot from my day in London, which was a bit of a disappointment. But overall, I'm happy with that photo I took. Also, Chris took a similar photo to me. But what's interesting is you can see we're at the same position, but he shot it with, I think, a 9mm lens, and I shot mine with the G Master 24-70 at 24mm. So there's quite a big difference there, and they're both excellent photos. So
right, okay, I see. Yeah, they're both in the shared album. I can see that now. So anyone following along. Anyone following along, Chris's is the landscape one, and Charlie's is the portrait one.
Portrait, yeah. I just did portrait, obviously, because with 24 it wasn't wide enough to really get a good landscape photo. So I went for portrait, and I'm really happy with it. With a lot of my photos, I always like the sky to be quite dark, so I spent quite a lot of the time trying to get that just right without making it look fake. And I think I pulled that off. And I hope to go to London again and try and replicate that with other light trails. It's all new to me, shooting light trails and architecture. It's not something I'm used to.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Very good. Very interesting.
This is a shot I've seen many times, but it's fantastic. I really like it. Do you know what's strange? One element I really like is the leaves on the floor. Tells you the time of year. And it actually goes with your AI tree. With your AI tree, it actually goes, though, perfectly.
Yeah. It's weird because when I did the AI tree, it did like a green tree, then a red tree, and then it did the orange tree, which actually matches the leaves on the ground. But the real tree is actually green.
As per Chris's shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The real thing.
Charlie, were there other people around shooting that telephone box? It's quite iconic, isn't it? So
everyone knows it. It was just myself and Chris. There were one or two passers by, and they kind of stopped, thinking they'd ruined my photo. But with that kind of thing, I'm just waiting for the buses, and as I said, we waited about 40 minutes. And as long as you've got the patience, you can put it off.
Worth it.
Two 40-year-old men crouching in the rain with tripods.
It's pathetic. We should know better.
Okay, so to round this section off, we've got Ian with a brand new, brand new shiny camera, and Joe taking some pictures of some food, which is interesting. Ian?
Yeah, 2 words, not much. I haven't been out with doing any photography. I did. After lots of looking at eBay, get a slightly used Nikon Z6 Mark II, which is like a baby brother to my Z8. And to me, it's quite dinky. I had to get a yellow cover for it just to be annoying and go with the others. But I'm hoping to take that with me this weekend, going to London, to Richmond, and hopefully getting to Battersea Power Station. So if I can get the opportunity to get some shots, hopefully I will. So
cool. Thanks very much. Yep. Joe?
Yeah, I'll try and be quick. I actually went out for once.
Hurrah!
I went once out after work and before work on a Sunday morning. They're basic shots. But the bulk of my shots I got was at Open Mead Farm. I took on the 28th of October. They had Tequila Circus there for Halloween, which I got a few shots in there. That was quite a challenge for me at my level. Low light, lots of movement, and I only took my 100mm out with me. But yeah, I got some okay shots, I thought. Most of them have been edited in Lightroom Mobile, apart from the marshmallow donut and the one of my daughter, which just shows context to the other two. I mean, I'm very low level compared to you guys. Your photos look a lot better than mine, but hopefully there's something there you guys like. You tell me. Anything catches your eye?
I like the donut. I reckon, I know you're talking to the other guys here, but I think that the donut, I do like shallow depth of field food shots for some reason. I don't know, they just appeal to me, and I really like the way in which that's worked. And also the one with the ice cream or the marshmallow, whatever it is. I think, for similar reasons. But it's an interesting... Anyone else?
Yeah, Joe, I really like the photo of the woman, the fire eater. What was it like in there? Was it quite dark? Because I could see your ISO's at 6400.
Yeah, it was very, very dark, apart from the stage lighting that was about, yeah.
It came out well, because you could see the flames and the smoke coming off the fire. It looks really cool.
Yeah, again, that's the benefits of full frame. So even my level, you can get okay shots.
Well, your level, I mean, you take really good photos. It's a great photo. It's really good.
I don't know. Thanks. One of my favourites actually is the donkey, the sad donkey.
Donkey?
Yeah, I see that.
Oh, yeah.
It just caught my eye, and I just framed it with the little pen he was in.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
You've got eye contact. It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention earlier the one that Chris has taken of the chappie, looking out of the window, which is, again, it's in the shared album. Hasn't been mentioned yet, but I'll mention it now, which I think is a really interesting photograph. So I do like these portrait type, particularly with the mono. I think that works really well with interesting highlights and wondering what the bloke is stood there saying and thinking and what have you. And also we skipped over some of those other ones from the museum. The one that I liked was the one with the where you're looking through a handrail or something. Again, with my lust for shallow depth of field and stuff, I love the whole depth thing, so I really like those two as well.
Yeah, that one with the handrail, that is the obvious kind of Instagram shot, but I've never seen it that wide at 9mm. So I kind of did that as kind of to show how ridiculously wide 9mm is, because you'll never get the little nodule at the front there in.
Sure.
Yeah, but again, all those other images, that first image, I just saved the edit for that as a preset, and then I just applied that to the others. So kind of zero work, and you got the same look.
I like the golden tone you've got on the handrail.
Yeah, that's just a bit of warmth pumped up. But yeah.
Chris, when you edited that photo, did you remove all the blue or the teal from that color grade?
Yeah, the first one, yeah. So I just went in the color mixer and basically desaturated everything except for yellow, orange, and red, which I played about with to various levels, but they're all desaturated to some degree.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, Joe, had you finished saying what you wanted to say?
Yeah, I mean, I did try a sort of photography shot, a product shot actually, of the Razor Ultra. I mean, I didn't spend a lot of time on that, but I think it's come out quite nice. That was one of the reasons I got the 100mm lens for product shots.
Okay.
But I could probably do with a workshop for that, to be honest.
You're in the right place. Okay, let's move on. Time's racing away. Chris, back to you with rumours and news.
The rumours section, sadly, very Sony-centric again. No one else seems to have much in the way of rumours, but this caught my eye because Sony are kind of going ahead with this F2 Holy Trinity, normally 2.8, but they're pushing ahead with these F2s, and there's a rumour of an ultra-wide F2. So normally the ultra-wide zoom is 16 to 35. I very much doubt an F2 would cover that, maybe 16 to 24. Something like that. But this will be a GM as well, F2, so it will be expensive and probably very large and heavy. But it'll be interesting, and it's good that they're kind of pushing ahead with these kind of ultra bright zooms. It kind of adds to the mirrorless catalogue, and only Sony seems to be really pushing the boundaries of the mirrorless system. Another couple of rumours for the Sony system is a replacement for the 100 to 400 GM. I think did you have that, Ian, when you were on Sony?
The 100 to 400?
Yeah.
No, I had the 70 to 200.
Okay. I did have this lens briefly. I went through two versions because the first one was really poor and I thought it was the lens, but the second one was the same. It was just very flat, not very sharp. So this is well due a replacement, but this will be ridiculously expensive, be over $3,000 most likely. But alongside the GM version of the 1 to 400, they're going to be releasing a G lens, not a GM lens. I'm a big fan of the Sony G lenses. They're half the price, half the size, and just as sharp, but a bit slower. So I'm definitely keen to have a look at that when it comes out. But that's all the rumours. The news, I think maybe I'll send this off to Charlie, but I did put this down on here, Affinity Photo. A shame Ed isn't here as well, Ed Howes, because I know he's into all this kind of stuff. Affinity Photo is now free. So I'm a bit of an Adobe fanboy. So I did have some issues with how this was being presented in contrast to Adobe, where people were going, oh, Adobe's a £1,500 a year, but they're comparing it to the full Creative Cloud. But if you just have Photoshop and Lightroom, it's more like £5 to £10 a month, which I think is a good deal, but still more than free. So, Charlie, you've used Affinity, haven't you?
Yeah, so when I first started in photography about 2 years ago now, I did not have Lightroom or Photoshop. So I had the poor man's version. I had Affinity Photo for iPad, but it was excellent. It was really, really good. It was intuitive to use. And also on the iPad, I had the iPad Magic keyboard, the Folio keyboard. You had a full keyboard shortcuts. So it was really good to use, and you had the stylus as well, so you can make all the adjustments. The only negative I found, and again, this is 2 years ago, so I don't know where Photoshop stood there, but there was no AI features on Affinity Photo. My understanding is now you can get the package, so it's all free. You get Affinity Photo, you get Affinity Designer and Affinity Publisher, I think, all rolled into one. And you can also get, I think it's called Canva AI thrown in, but you have to pay £120 per year for that. So it's free, but if you want the AI features on top, you have to pay the £120. But it's really good if you don't want to pay Adobe for whatever reason, and I would definitely recommend it.
Why are they doing this?
What's the catch?
The catch is they hope that you just buy their AI features for the £120 per year. But I don't know how good Canva AI is. I don't think it's going to be in the same league as Photoshop, because that's like a game changer. That even though it's Adobe, their AI is like top of the game at the moment. You've got Affinity, haven't you, Ted? You've used that?
I have, and I paid full whack for Publisher and for Photo. Fortunately, it wasn't paid by me personally. It was the magazine that I edit, because we were trying to find a robust solution for particularly when Microsoft Publisher collapses, and it's interesting that it's now gone free, including Publisher, incidentally, because my copies of Publisher and Photo are first generation ones, and so I suppose it would make sense for me now to just ditch those and install this new thing, whatever it is, and I'll get all of that anyway. I think you're probably right. The AI tools are what, like a lot of these things, we talk quite often about MeWe and how they finance themselves. We have all of our groups in MeWe, and you think, well, how on earth do they make it pay? And when you ask the question, they say it's bolt-on tools, and you think, well, surely it can't totally fund it. Just people buying emoji packs and paying for their cloud storage, which they'll get free anywhere else. But sure enough, that's what they do. And so perhaps Affinity are taking the same route. They're saying it's a big gamble. Let's get people away from Photoshop and give them this stuff for free, and then they'll want the AI tools to bolt on.
I suspect there's a roadmap of things coming that you can pay for in the future as well, on that sort of note.
Yeah.
No doubt. I should give it a go, but the only thing is I've got Windows on ARM, so I'm not sure if it's available on that and whether it's any good. So I'll look in.
But it's also available on mobile, is it, Charlie?
Sorry. What's this? Affinity Photo?
The Affinity, the new free package, is that available on other than desktop computers?
Not yet. No,
Oh, okay.
It's only available on Windows and Mac, but they have said that they're going to be releasing it on their desktop.
Right. Okay.
Watch your space.
Back to you, Chris.
Well, it was a slow news week, so I'll just chuck this last one in for a bit of fun. I think how I wrote it down in the notes is probably the best way to introduce this. So Leica tests the limits of how much it can mug off its customers with some overpriced leather tat. So Leica have a history of shilling Leica branded crap at huge premiums. So
is it a hand grip?
No, it's even worse. So anyone that wants to get into the Leica ecosystem for a little bit cheaper than the $7,000 or whatever it costs to buy a Leica camera, they can wet their loins with a Leica luggage tag for $150 or a.
Did you just say a luggage tag?
A luggage tag, and it is exactly what you think it is. It's just a square bit of leather with a window film and a Leica badge on the back of it. $150.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many people have ashtrays now, though?
Well, they don't call it. I was going to say. So they've got an ashtray, but they call it like a collection bowl or something. But it's obviously an ashtray. A Leica branded ashtray for $200. So, Ian, I know you're lamenting the loss of your Leica Q3. Will this fill that void?
Can I get a key ring instead?
Yeah. Will this fill that hole that's left in your heart?
No, I was quite intrigued by the watch. The watch looked very.
Yeah, the watch does look nice.
But
to be fair,
I'm not sure how much that is, but yeah, I don't
probably
think
more than the camera.
I thought I would throw a new idea at the group, and it might appeal to those of us who are newer to what's going on, particularly with digital photography, and a back to basics section. And I thought I'd kick it off by just saying, this is an opportunity for us to ask the question, pose the questions about what we don't understand or what is probably obvious to those that have looked deeper into it. But I thought I'd kick it off by asking the question about understanding crop sensors, and hopefully that people will be able to answer the question. We never know. We may have listeners that this will help as well. The crop sensor in for example, my Nikon D300 only uses the middle bit of my full frame lens. So I've got this Nikon 2805 lens, which is a full frame lens, and so it can be used on full frame bodies, but I'm using it on a D300 which has got a crop sensor. Now, from what the question is, what are the payoffs really? From what I remember back in the day, the edges of most bits of glass degrade images, and you were encouraged to not only shoot at the middle apertures to get the best from a lens, but also keep away from the edges. Now, if you're going to use my setup with this Nikkor lens and a D300 on a crop, then I don't understand why it's not a win-win. Why wouldn't that be what everyone does? Excuse me. And I've added a diagram in here to demonstrate what I'm talking about, which will be old hat to you people probably, where the full frame sensor fills up a large part of the lens, but the crop sensor fills up a smaller portion in the middle. But that portion in the middle there used to be, back in the day, I think, was the one that you would be getting the best from the lens from anyway. So Am I misunderstanding this, or any thoughts on this?
Anyone?
Anyway,
So,
for your
sorry,
phones-
Ted, are you saying that APS-C is the same size sensor today as it was in like the 1970s as traditional film cameras? Is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is that I have got a full frame style compliant lens, and I'm using it on a crop sensor. But my misunderstanding of this is that while I'm doing that, surely if I was to buy a full frame Nikon instead, then I wouldn't be getting the best from that. So supposing I used that same lens on my D300 and then went and bought a D6 10 or something, then surely I would be getting the better performance from the lens with the D300 because I'm only using the middle bit of the glass. Because the if I was using the lens on a full frame camera, you would be using a broader piece of the same glass. Do you see what I mean?
I think these older lenses suffered with corner sharpness issues, so for your very specific setup, then you might be right that you would have a sharper image taking the same photo. But I think for more modern mirrorless stuff, that's not really a concern. And ultimately, a larger sensor is going to gather more light, which is what you really want. That's the goal, is to gather as much light as possible.
Sure. Yeah, I was thinking more of the kind of the optics involved of using the middle bit of the glass.
Yeah, traditionally, I think the middle bit of glass was optically superior, but I don't think that's so much the case these days. Well, you can put full frame lenses on Sony bodies, on APS-C Sony bodies. They'll let you do that.
Right.
But then you're kind of missing out on the APS-C advantages of smaller and cheaper because the Sony full frame lenses are obviously a lot bigger and more expensive.
Okay.
But if you got a full frame Sony lens and put it in APS-C mode, which you can do, you're going to get an identical photo as a Sony APS-C camera would get, because the sensors are identical. A 61 megapixel full frame Sony sensor, the middle part of that sensor is the exact same sensor that a 26 megapixel APS-C Sony sensor uses. They're exactly the same. They're built from the same process and they're fabricated in the same plant. They're all the same sensor. So they're literally identical pictures. So yeah, there is a parallel, but if you took the same photo via APS-C to get the wider shot, then the full frame would be better because it's gathering more light.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah. It was more about the glass really, but
yeah.
Okay, all right, okay. So does anyone think that this back to basics is a good idea, Joe, or should we ditch it?
No, I think it can work, definitely. We'll just see how it goes, really. See what people bring to the table. I think it's worth.
We don't want to bore everyone.
No, I think I found it interesting, and I think anyone who's going to be interested into this podcast will probably find it interesting as well. I mean, the guys on the MeWe community can let us know. That'll be interesting to hear what they say. But I think it's worth keeping.
Cool.
Maybe they can throw in some ideas for us.
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Talking of which, we haven't got a theme for the next show, but hopefully in 2 weeks' time when we come back, we would have selected one, and we shall be examining that. My vote might be to go and do the macro one. We might be able to get Ed House to come back in because he's got this whole macro thing going on with Olympus and 4/3, and he's got this super macro lens. I wonder if it's probably about time we did have a look at macro, but we'll talk about it off air and we'll let everyone know what it's going to be in due course. In the meantime, tedsalmon.com/camera creations is the website where you'll find links to all the stuff we've been talking about today. There's also a link to our Camera Creations shared album on Google Photos, which will be linked to as well. If you get lost along the way, tedsalmon.com is where you'll find everything, links to all all of our audio podcasts and all of our MeWe groups. And yes, do join us in the MeWe group, because we'd like to hear what you're doing with your cameras and what stuff you're producing. So let us know, and we can bring lots of good information to shows going forward. So yep, we'll be back in 2 weeks' time. Thanks for listening if you've made it this far, and catch you soon.